Dyer's ban.
Hello and welcome back to the Join Dota League Season 3 here on HeflaTV 1. This is going to be Game 2 of our best of 3 series, between Root Gaming and Isurus. In Game number 1, it was played on USE server, and Root Gaming took a very convincing win over Isurus. Their Tidehunter lost miserably versus the Mirana played by Ink Dota 1v1, and then their Spectre found no farm, and at that point, Isurus had hardly a hope of fighting, especially since their Sand King did get a Blink Dagger till like 25 minutes, and well, enough of game number 1, as we are going to jump into game number 2's draft. I'm Grandis Feet, and I'll be joined by Mike Flores for this game.
5 seconds.
Game number 1 was played on a American server, US East, and that, with the exception of Mirana, that type of lineup from Root is not the type that is really affected by ping that much. You kind of just go and land all your skills. So I don't know how much the ping is going to be affecting them, but they're certainly going to be running in a vastly different direction. They slam pick Viper and Wraith King, though they have quite a different plan coming up for this game. As Isurus, they pick up the Centaur. It's, a decent enough start for the Isurus gaming side. It's a very aggressive hero together with the Ancient Apparition. And Dulce didn't really do that much last game. To be fair, he didn't really get a chance, but I feel like Isurus are placing a little bit too much priority on this hero.
Yeah, it's a hero that they're very comfortable with, and they do like running the Ancient Apparition, but I agree. I don't know, probably not first pick material. Maybe in the second phase, you might choose to do so. Up against the lineup from Root, I like the Ancient Apparition pick, or would have liked it. The Juggernaut Healing Ward being shut down. In this game, the Wraith King, or also being taken out of the equation if you're able to land a good ultimate is always nice. But even so, I think you leave them until a little bit later. If you have a lane that can actually abuse the Ancient Apparition's Chilling Touch, because they didn't have that. The other two heroes, it was a Sand King and Spectre, both melee, and both have a bit of difficulty jumping in onto a target at the early portions of the game. Later on, once you have a blink on your Sand King or higher levels up in the Spectral Dagger, that's not a problem. But the Chilling Touch just isn't very useful for them as far as getting kills are concerned, especially up against the lane that Root had built. Still, Ancient Apparition and Centaur Warner, it's a nice aggressive start that will allow them to have some very good aggressive global ganking presence, as long as they're able to get that level 6 on the Ancient Apparition and Blink Dagger, which are going to be key for Isurus this game.
The second ban's now out, faces Void Batrider. Root Gaming clearly very concerned about the initiating power of Isurus. Well, Isurus is going to kick out a whole bunch of supports. Rubik, Skywrath Mage. Actually, it's remarkable that Skywrath Mage got this far into the pool, but we're not going to be seeing him in this game, so might as well be first banned. Viper Wraith King is the opening from Root Gaming. We haven't really talked about this that much. It doesn't really go in any sort of direction. Now with the Jakiro, it goes in a little bit more of a clearer direction. They might run a Jakiro core once again. It worked last game, so why not run it again? With the Viper, they're going to have a very potent force. I would say in certain situations stronger than the Ogre Magi, in certain situations a little bit weaker. But in no matter what situation, Root Gaming, all three of the heroes are more on the tanky end. So Isurus, they're going to need a lot of damage in order to burn through all of these heroes' health pools. And while Ancient Apparition is a good start, Centaur Warner also a good start, but they're going to be pressured pretty early, I think. Root are going to probably bring the heat.
Yeah, definitely. Although their lanes are fairly fluid, Root Gaming, they could throw this in pretty much any direction possible. In fact, this could be our 3 cores, or not 3 cores. Well, actually, it could be our 3 cores, but either way, this could be our tri-lane. Just many different directions that Root could go for, and in their draft, that's a strength that I feel that's a strength for them. Witch Doctor, the next pickup for Isurus, is going to give them a lot of damage, although they don't have the big ultimates to set it up. Still, if you're able to get a hoof stomp on 2 or 3 people, following up with the Death Ward can be pretty ridiculous, and even though Root Gaming have some naturally tanky heroes, they're not tanky when you get an Ancient Apparition Ice Blast on you, as well as Hoof Stomp Double Edge with Death Ward. There's very few heroes, if any, that can survive through that.
Even if you have Mech, Pipe, Crimson, everything in the book, it's hard to survive. And well, I think Root, their game plan is to end the game before any sort of Death Ward becomes really devastating. Like, when you have a Viper and Jakiro on the same team, you generally are aiming to go for a pushing kind of lineup. Like, I wouldn't even put it past Root to pick up something like a Pugna right now and just try to go all in on the pushing. It's a decent way at ignoring ping, I guess, if you just go and kill their towers without them being able to respond. If they do go for that, then Wraith King seems a little bit out of place. He's a decent enough hero, but they picked him very highly, and I don't think Wraith King is a hero that you should be picking very highly, simply because you can get him later on. At the very least, it's a stun for Jakiro, and maybe that's what they want him for. Done.
Yeah, as far as heroes that offer just a stun, there are plenty of other heroes to fill that void. You have Earthshaker and Ogre Magi, but maybe this game they wanted the Wraith King a little bit higher. I think the other two have their merits, and in an earlier focused game, I quite like the Earthshaker and Ogre better than the Wraith King, because Wraith King, one of his biggest strengths is that he can transition very well into the later portions of the game once he has the level 16 ultimate, and maybe like one damage item, like a Mjolnir on top of a Blink Blade Mill or something like that. I don't know. So it's fairly interesting to see. It's a hero that you can play on relatively low ping. He's not punished very much for dying. In fact, in a lot of team fights, you want to be losing your life to proc that reincarnate, and then also just a one-button hero. But the next pick for Rude, Crystal Maiden, very peculiar.
Man, this day has been great. I mean, we get to see Lina, and then we get to see Crystal Maiden. This is awesome. Like, both of those two heroes are very rarely seen, and in this game, how is she going to do in this game? Well, certainly on the defensive, you never want your Crystal Maiden to be on the defensive. She's not going to have a good time. A Blink Hoof Stomp is going to annihilate her. But if she's on the offensive, and that's really what you pick her for, then extra mana for the Jakiro, Wraith King, and Viper is all going to be relevant. She also has some of the highest nukes in the game. I mean, she does a truckload of damage with Crystal Nova and Frostbite. And when you combine that all with the Jakiro, people are going to be dropping left and right from Isurus. So if Root can keep the pressure up and keep this Crystal Maiden on the offensive, then they're going to be getting so much value out of this hero. If not, this hero is going to do literally nothing.
I would have liked to see a Vengeful Spirit in place of the Crystal Maiden, despite how few times we get to see the Crystal Maiden actually in play. I think the Vengeful Spirit offers a similar amount to what the Crystal Maiden does, as far as a nice aggressive support, some decent lockdown and damage, but I think the utility from the Venge might warrant her being picked over the Crystal Maiden. Either way, another hero that can jump into the face of Root Gaming. We're going to see the Slark from Isurus. Their heroes are going to take a little bit longer to get fully online, and Root Gaming, their window is a little bit longer as far as how late they're going to be able to take the game than we saw in game number 1, but then again, their window where they're going to be as dominant as we saw in game number 1 is also going to be shorter. So in that sense, I'm not sure if they're going to be as comfortable. Witch Doctor Ancient Apparition is not a very great roaming aggressive combo, and if the Crystal Maiden, Jakiro, and Wraith King, whichever two of those are going to be played in the support position, are able to get a lot of kills, Root Gaming are going to look pretty solid. As far as their 5th hero, I'm not sure where they want to take their draft. If they're going to go for an aggressive tri-lane, maybe another farming core, or maybe they pick up something for the solo safe or for a solo mid.
Axe game. I could smell it. This is definitely an axe game.
Actually, it is.
For Root Gaming. Slark as the 4th pick from Isurus is going to give them ability to fight a little bit earlier, and when you know that you're going to be aggressed upon, you want to have heroes that can fight early. That being said, Slark does need a little bit of leveling early on, as well as gold, and this is a very aggressive Root Gaming lineup. It's not guaranteed that he's even going to get that far. Root Gaming, they're going to ban up the Necrophos, and I think, well, that's probably the largest tell that Root Gaming are planning on something weird. Like, this is going to be an Axe game. This is going to be a Huskar game. Timbersaw is the final ban out, and it's a Medusa. God damn it, Root. You're so disappointing.
Okay, well, I'm actually really thrown for a loop. I was thinking that they would go for one of those very aggressive strength carries in the Axe or the Huskar. But Medusa also has her merits. They have plenty of ways to make room for this Medusa in the early games. And instead of being a lineup that has to end the game before 30 minutes like we saw in game number 1, this time it's going to be Root Gaming trying to put as much pressure as they can with the 4 heroes and allow the Medusa to farm. It's not a traditional 4 protect 1, as it's not really for protecting the 1, it's for distracting for the 1 until Medusa can get those items and just A-click the ground and destroy the enemy team, which, another way to deal with ping, I suppose. Just get all of the farm in the world.
And then A-move. That seems like a pretty good solution. Medusa is actually another core hero that could benefit very heavily from having the Arcane Aura from the... So Medusa with a lot of mana, very dangerous, but Isurus, they're going to slam the Storm Spirit. They know that if they get the initiation, then Root Gaming are most likely going to crumble, and it's going to be a very delicate situation for... They have to protect the Medusa. This might be one of those games where the Medusa is going to want to play very aggressively in the early game, in the mid game rather. Just try to get Yasha, drums, phase, those types of items, and then put the pressure onto Isurus, because with Slark, Centaur, Storm Spirit, Medusa late game is always going to be a dominant hero, but she's going to have a lot of competition.
Yeah. I don't know. One of my favorite builds for Medusa right now is Phase Drum's Yasha Maelstrom, or any combination of those items. Allows you to fight pretty early on with the extra mobility that's offered from that, as well as do a decent amount of damage. And farm well, for that matter, with Yasha and potentially Maelstrom. We don't get to see Medusa very often, but she is starting to rise in popularity, and as far as how Root Gaming played in game number 1, we might be in for a very aggressive style of Medusa play. Maybe Root are feeling, after a game 1 victory, maybe we can experiment, especially since we're not in ideal situations anyway. Might as well go for something a little bit off the wall. For now, it is going to be on the Radiant side. Isurus playing with their supports being handled by Algodonchin, playing on the Ancient Apparition. Their support's going to be Witch Doctor playing, or played by Gotta Make It to Heaven. It looks like they have decided that their previous stand-in didn't cut the cake, and I don't know, no hard feelings, but I think they're probably right. DDX going to be playing on the Storm Spirit in mid. Offlane is going to be Pepita playing on the center Warner, leaving last but not least Dulce playing in Slark in the safe lane.
Fortunately, the Witch Doctor has all of his stuff set to private, so there's no way to tell if it's actually someone who we would be able to recognize by name. But on the Root side, we got Tubby the Fat going to be playing the Jakiro. Over towards mid lane, it's going to be Medusa. Huh, that's very interesting. Ink Dota is going to be handling that hero. Your boy JC is going to be on the Crystal Maiden up towards top. We got Tolera on the Viper and Lycus on the Wraith King. What do you think about this mid lane Dusa and the off lane Jakiro? I feel like they would probably even be a little bit better if they just switch.
Yeah, I think mid Medusa, it's something that can work, and Ink Dota is a fairly skilled individual player, but then again, he's going up against DDX on a ping favor towards the Storm Spirit, and it's a hero that DDX is very comfortable with. The matchup, I think, is slightly favored towards Medusa, although it's not one we get to see very often. I think the range, as well as Mystic Stake spam, is going to give Medusa a slight edge, although I'm really not sure. It should be fairly even.
Top River, your boy JC taking quite a bit of damage. He's already thrown his Frostbite, taking constant right clicks from Pepita and Gotta Make It to Heaven. She's so slow and she'll go down. That's the downside of Crystal Maiden. She is slow as the Wolves of Ice Rack. 280 movement speed is pretty pathetic, and there's really nothing you could do once that first stun lands. So First Blood this time is going to go the way of Isurus, and the Crystal Maiden on the defensive, as promised, is going to get very little done.
Absolutely. Frostbite level 1, Crystal Maiden can back off and get a couple of jungle creeps, but you're ready, JC, this is not how you want to start the game. Crystal Maiden, those early points in the skills just give you so much value for ganking, but then again, if you're not able to get boots and make up for that poor movement speed, it's, I don't know, just not a happy time to be the Crystal Maiden. Her jungle farm's a little bit faster now after it changes in 6.82, but then again, she finds a Dark Troll Summoner, which isn't the best creep for your Crystal Maiden to find. Currently, the mid lane is being dominated pretty much by DDX, 6-0 compared to the 1-0 of Ink, despite, I don't know, having some creeps under his tower. He's not going to be able to farm very effectively with these. Only 63 base damage, being punished by the Storm Spirit, starting out with a Null Talisman.
Kind of to be expected from Ink. He's going to have trouble, and it's not really going to get any better for him. Medusa doesn't really have any great ways of killing off the Storm Spirit, whereas Storm Spirit, once he hits level 6, hell, even before then, he can realistically get kills on the Medusa. So mid lane is going to be pretty easily lost by Root. But on the bottom lane, Tubby the Fat's not being pressured too much. He's able to chip away at the Ancient Apparition, has got to be concerned about Dulce's potential for just jumping in and tethering the Jakiro to the floor. That's always going to be a threat. But when the creep wave is not hugging the Radiance tier 1, the Jakiro is actually able to put some pretty serious damage towards Dulce, and that lane is definitely not the worst for Tubby the Fat. And top lane, of course, it's going to be easily won by Tolera. He's in a 1v0 lane, and if you lose that, you're playing the game wrong.
You definitely are. Pepita is not going to be able to back off in the jungle very effectively. He'll get a little bit of experience once the lane goes back in his favor, but for now, it's smoke coming out from your boy JC as well as Lycus, looking towards the Storm Spirit in mid. If they're able to kill him, the Medusa might have a little bit of a better time, but currently, it's the Storm Spirit having the time of his life. 15-3 compared to 4-0 of the Medusa, and he's playing defensively enough where he shouldn't get picked off, although the Courier might not be so lucky. Bumping into a double damage, Tubby the Fat, this Courier is dead. Pop.
And at the same time, they're going for mid lane. There is a cast retaliation, though, and your boy JC is going to get obliterated by the damage of DDX. Also, Ink now slowed down by the overload. He's going to slip away just barely. Right clicks, not going to be enough for one more. There it is. It's going to be a 3-0 advantage for Isurus. Losing the Courier is very much so worth getting the kill on the Medusa. Jakiro's here, but it's way too late.
Yeah, unfortunately for DDX, he is going to be missing his bottle, but still, it's going to be a lot of kills going their way. DDX, well played there, popped the Remnant while his auto attack was in the air to get that slow on the Medusa. I don't know, it's something that you see some very experienced Storm Spirit players doing, at least at my skill level. Nobody would even consider it, but then again, Storm Spirit going to find himself a nice kill onto the Medusa. That's 3-0 to start things off for Isurus. Their gold is not going to look too terrible if you just look at that trade in a vacuum, but still, they're not farming very well on most of their lanes. Viper's the only one that's having a decent timing, and even he might not be having a decent time for much more, playing very aggressively up against Pepita, constantly getting that slow off onto him from the poison attack, 2 points into it. Although no return will mean that the corrosive skin isn't going to proc. So Centaur Warner is going to be sent back to base. This is really the saving grace for Root. Their Jakiro Gen at bottom is going to be pounced upon by Dulce as well as Akadanchan, and with the Chilling Touch damage, it's going to be plenty. The Chilling Touch also in mid was very crucial in getting that Medusa killed. They two-shotted the Crystal Maiden.
Going to be a very different game for Root, as last time they started off very, very well. This game, they are already on the back foot, and if it does get to a late game scenario, all their chips are going to be on a Medusa, who is currently not farming very well. It's pretty much the exact same thing as last game, except instead of Isurus having a Spectre, it's Root going to be having a Medusa. And Medusa, to be fair, can contribute a lot more, I would say, with Stone Gaze and Mystic Snake being able to contribute no matter what. Still, this Medusa pretty much needs to get farm. Getting Viper farm, although nice, is not exactly going to instantly win you the game. They're going to go for mid lane, perhaps, and maybe bottom lane, as the Ancient Apparition is setting up for something. He has the Witch Doctor right behind him, but he's constantly body blocking the Jakiro, so Tubby the Fat should know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, right now he is currently under his tower, and it's very unlikely that Tubby is going to die. And then again, Storm Spirit's under his tower, and it's very unlikely he's going to die. So I'm not sure that anything is going to happen from the posturing coming out from either of these supports. Right now, I'm tempted to think about how this game would have gone if they threw the Medusa up towards the top lane. The Viper would have a decent time, and pretty good time, in fact, up against the Storm. He might have died to those ganks, but at the very least, their Medusa would be able to get farm up against the Centaur, and I'm not sure exactly what they expected Root Gaming for Isurus to do. I'm not sure there would be any other laning situation that would really favor the Medusa that much. Maybe mid Slark, but I doubt they would do that.
I think maybe they were anticipating, they were trying to catch the 3v3 matchup, I think. In that case, it would have been pretty good for Root, as they would have had the Viper, Wraith King, and Crystal Maiden all in the lane, and that's hard to beat considering how weak Slark is in a tri-lane situation. So I would have liked to see Root maybe make a rotation down to the bottom lane with these two heroes, swap the top and bottom lanes, and then just be super aggressive, because defensive Viper is kind of underwhelming. Like, he has so much laning potential, and when you're playing against a hero who's already being zoned out, you're wasting a lot of kill power. So Viper mid, Viper aggressive tri-lane bottom, I think all of this would have been a lot better than just having him very slowly farm up top.
Steam server changes are not going to fix anything, as Ancient Apparition is going to disconnect and then reconnect immediately. That probably isn't a server thing or anything along the lines of his ISP. A disconnect for that short a time should be fairly easy to solve. I'm not sure exactly what happened to Alkadanchan, but he's back here now, so we are going to continue on with this game.
Minutes in, we have a nice little lead for Isurus. Losing the courier is definitely going to hurt them, but they're slowly climbing in net worth and the EXP earned. Root not actually that far behind, considering they are 4 kills down. So the last hitting of the Viper and Medusa is actually doing pretty well. The side lanes from Isurus, the 2 cores are getting quite a bit of farm, but Centaur is getting absolutely nothing. However, he's going to try to go for your boy JC. Frostbite already used. They need a Viper Strike. Oh, not in range. There's the Viper Strike. Pepita is so many layers of dead right now.
And the last layer is going to be the Viper getting the last hit with, I believe, an auto attack, maybe just the poison tick damage. The Viper build this game is fairly aggressive, as Jakiro's also going to fall, both offlaners being taken out simultaneously. That Witch Doctor didn't have the Ancient Apparition, and it was just him diving the tower, presumably after they landed a pounce. Both of these heroes are very low after going for that, but they'll find themselves a kill richer. It's going to be 5 for 1, our kill score at this point in the game. Witch Doctor probably going to have to make its way all the way back to base. That's about it. Zip in mid. There's no ultimate available for Ink Dota. He's going to be slowed. The stun coming out from Wraith King is going to be disjointed by DDX, although now he can't go for anything else as he's completely tapped out of mana. So Medusa is going to survive, despite nothing actually landing.
Really can't afford to be dying this lane. Like, it's bad enough that she's getting completely outlast hit by DDX, like, so much so. She is, like, basically at a 3-to-1 disadvantage in this lane as far as CS is concerned, but dying, that's just going to be the worst possibility for her. So she has to try to play a little bit safer and Root. They kind of need Lycus around this area just to make sure that the Storm Spirit doesn't always play super aggressively versus Medusa, but that's not always possible. They're going to go for Pepita up on top lane. The Viper Strike is not there just yet. Hoof Stomp is going to land on Talera. That actually might give Pepita enough distance to get away. He will circle around. Oh, if the Wraith King was just a little bit closer, he would have caught eyes on him, but it's going to be a potential kill wasted by Root as they go in literally 5 seconds too early.
Yeah, very unfortunate for them. That center Hoof Stomp was just on the very edge. Now they TP in the Storm Spirit. Talera needs to be very careful. Center ultimate, they're going to get the slow. Now the pullback onto Talera. The center does absolutely nothing in this, just lets all of the glory go to DDX with 3 short zips as well as that overcharge. Will be able to secure the kill. It's going to be a nice rotation into a nice kill onto the Viper, the safe lane farming hero that's really the only lane that's doing well for Root. Medusa is going to be able to get a little bit of room because of it, and they'll push into the tier 1 tower in mid a little bit with the Liquid Fire. They're looking for the Ice Path, not going to land on Algodoncian as he jukes towards the right.
You have level 3 Liquid Fire. They're gonna catch your boy JC though, and DDX is so great at killing off very soft Crystal Maidens. The damage onto the Storm Spirit's not quite gonna be there though. He's gonna try to go to the high ground. He will fail, but it's not going to matter. This Crystal Maiden barely manages to scrape her way out of there, but it's going to be the push repelled from Root, and really just having a Jakiro is not gonna give you enough pushing power to clear through entire creep waves and take the tower through enemy heroes. Like, you'll be able to chip at the tower when you're there, but you're not always going to be there. They need another hero here. They need Viper here, but it looks like they're going to prioritize Viper's farm, instead sending him to the bottom lane. So Root, really this Jakiro, the way he's being played is so awkward in Root's lineup. Like, it seems like there's full shields up with the exception of the Jakiro, who wants to go aggressive.
Yeah, it seems that is the case. The Crystal Maiden has been jungling away. Does have Tranquil Boots now as level 4, but Crystal Maiden level 4 doesn't really do much at this point. We're going to see Lycus getting gone on upon top as DDX is able to secure that kill very nicely onto the Wraith King. Level 6, not even close to it for the Wraith King, and it's just easy pickings for DDX. If he ever catches eyes on one of these supports, they're pretty much dead if there's no backup.
Bottom lane, Dulce playing pretty aggressively versus this dual ranged opposition, but he'll be fine either way. 7-1 now as DDX is, oh man, he's going to be a pretty large problem moving forward. And you know, despite the fact that it is going to be a problem, we have a fight on the bottom lane. Dulce is going to annihilate the Jakiro. The Viper is going to run straight to the Centaur. Hoof Stomp is there. Potentially the Creep's going to lend a little bit of support towards the Radiant as Talera is going to be chased down. He is going to be forced to TP out. Looks like they don't have anything to interrupt that, so that's going to be about it. Jakiro once again dying, and DDX looking for the mid lane, but I was about to say, we're talking about a lot about DDX and how he's getting a lot. The Slark has been untouched, like 102, and he is revealed right now to the tower, so that's not where we want to be, but he's been farming very happily on the bottom lane. Really, this Slark is going to be just as big a problem as the Storm Spirit moving forward.
Yeah, he is going to be going for the drums instead of the blink. I would have liked to see the blink this game, but hold that thought as Ink Dota going to be pulled back in mid. He does have the mana shield, taking less damage than I thought he would. Trying to get the ultimate off, he will be able to escape because of it. And now the turnaround potentially going to come. The Slark going to miss his pounce, isn't able to connect with the leash on anybody. But then again, your boy JC is probably going to die in the backline. Hoof Stomp, Double Edge, not even going to throw out either of them, as they're just being kited around. The positioning from Root is pretty good in this engagement. And now the Centaur caught out up the creek without a paddle as Pepita is going to be slowed down and brought down. Trying to find the Crystal Maiden before he falls, he's not going to be able to do so. And it's going to be a 1 kill going the way of Root, whereas they're not going to be able to find anything Isurus, so it's going to be beneficial for them, I suppose. But a lot of their cooldowns being expended, and there's room on the bottom lane giving to Ancient Apparition. It's not a huge win, but I think just getting out of there alive is a win for them nonetheless.
Getting a top lane tower would be very nice as well. Teleportation up top is going to be canceled, and suddenly Gotta Make It is all alone, and he's pretty much bluffing right now. He might get the tower deny. No, he's not going to get it. Now Jakiro looking for an ice path. Gotta Make It to heaven. Might get there a little bit faster than he really would like to. He's going to dodge death for now, but it's a tower and a kill going the way of Root. It's not the hugest of steps, but it's definitely a step in the right direction, especially if they get a little bit more as far as towers are concerned. Gotta Make It is completely spotted out by a dire observer, and Talera is closing in. If an ice path lands, Gotta Make It is dead. Pepita should be able to survive that. Now here comes Talera, is going to hold on to his Viper Strike. He actually doesn't have it just yet. Gotta Make It is stuck in the trees. Macropyre is going to be thrown. They will bring down that hero Witch Doctor, but in exchange, it's going to be a trade of the Medusa down on bottom. Algodoncian is going to get frostbitten up, and Lycus taking quite a bit of damage. Rotation in. Here comes the Viper, and Algodoncian slow to a crawl. One more right click is going to get yet another kill for Root, making it a 2-for-1, but they only get supports off of all of this. Probably not worth losing your Medusa, although I think at this point Root would take any trade that they could get.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Just to put things into perspective, well, up in top, we are going to see a jump onto the poor Tubby the Fat, and Tubby the Fat is going to be Tubby the Dead very shortly, as the double edge and one more auto attack from DDX is going to secure that deal. Viper is going to be taking a lot of damage to the Slark, and now pounce down. Tolera is going to lose his life, trying to take Dulce before he goes, although Dulce is very low. I'm not sure they have any way to close the gap, but is going to skate away with just under 36 HP. So yeah, it's going to be 2 for 2, all said and done, losing 2 cores for 2 supports, favorable for Isurus. This Medusa has more net worth than the Spectre had pretty much all last game, which is pretty crazy to think of. Despite Root looking very terrible in the kill score, there's still hope for them to come back into this one. Unlike what we saw from Isurus in game 1, they are going to jump to the back line. Dulce forced to defensively pounce away, and he's going to get frostbitten up and probably brought down by the auto attacks. Crystal Maiden does no damage at all, and Medusa's not able to connect, but Alcadoncha now caught in between a very awkward situation, juking the Medusa around the trees. As he has complete eyes over ink, they're not going to be able to find that kill, and keep away from the Crystal Maiden will keep her safe. Nobody's going to die in bottom, but the tier 1 tower in mid might be, or tier 1 tower might be the exception, as Pepita, gone in mid, is going to be slowed down by the Viper and company. Although the Viper now in a very awkward situation is going to be pulled back by DDX, slowed down, and there's not a lot of mana on DDX, so he can't actually pursue this kill, especially with Lycus behind him. Not enough mana to disjoint the Wraithfire Blaster, barely so now. Still, it's not that terrible for Root. They do get the tier 1 tower down in bottom. I'm not sure if that was denied. It was destroyed by the Medusa. More gold that's desperately needed by Ink Dota.
That gold that they just picked up is going to be crucial, but at the same time, Isurus got top lane tower down as well, so making even tier 1 for tier 1 tower trade. The Viper, he's been farming all this time, and we were saying, like, we don't know if the Viper getting farm is worth it. I think we were both assuming that the mech was going to be the build. Instead, he's gone for drums, and it's not a bad item on Viper by any means, but it's not really a high impact item. In fact, it's really hard to notice the impacts of drums most of the time.
Yeah, it's a great item to have on your team, but it's, I don't know, less important. Up against an Ancient Apparition, I can respect the choice, as if the Ice Blast lands, the mechanism is going to be less impactful than the drums as far as auras are concerned. A little bit of extra tank for the Viper is nice, although not sure if I completely agree. Sorry, your boy JC is going to die probably, although DDX is going to be dropped very low because of it. He is going to fall to the tick damage of Tubby the Fat. Tubby probably going to tick down to the Ancient Apparition ultimate. No, it's only level 1. He's going to survive barely inside the base. It is going to be 1-for-1 trade, but DDX losing his life is very significant there. But he was able to buy his Orchid before falling, so he doesn't lose that much gold.
He's still a level 11 hero that Jakiro got full experience off of, so a really nice pickup for Root Gaming, a trade that's very much so worth it, as giving Crystal Maiden for any kill is probably going to be worth it, let alone a Storm Spirit. Tolera might be in a little bit of trouble, however. Here comes Dulce. With his jumps popped, he's going to close the distance pretty swiftly, but not swiftly enough. He's going to fall back, and that's smoke wasted from Isurus. They're going to try to pressure the mid lane, however, here's the Yule Scepter going to set up for the Witch Doctor. He's going to miss the Ice Path as he falls. Now going to throw the cast. No, he's not going to throw the cast. He's going to take a Viper Strike instead. At the same exact time, Dulce is going to annihilate the Wraith King, though, so it's once again a 1-for-1 support for support. Dulce on the way out, but here comes DDX straight onto Tubby the Fat. The damage is huge, and the Jakiro is down. The right clicks onto Algodonchin should be enough to kill him off, as he is frostbitten up. Ink Dota gonna get frozen to place, lose a lot of his mana right now, but overall, all the supports are going to be in trade, and when you're behind, you're happy to make as many trades as you could possibly get, because generally you're going to be lower level. That means you're killing higher level heroes, so it's going to be Root taking a favorable trade for them, I would say, especially if they get this tower. Dulce is not going to deny it. Killed by the Viper. DDX, though, wants to jump in and kill off the Crystal Maiden. Is instead going to pull off Tulera. Your boy JC still taking a lot of damage. The Orc is going to kill him off now. Here comes Pavita with a 2-man hoof stomp. Double edge onto 1, and the rest of the damage onto Ink Dota is going to bring down the Medusa. 17 for 7, and now with the Stampede disengage, they're going to get out safe and sound. Isurus pretty much have a complete 180 from the last game.
Yeah. It's going to be a very clean fight after losing that tower. Isurus cracking back very hard onto Root. Root aren't out of it by any means. The Storm Spirit's play there was pretty solid, pulling the Viper, not needing to expend that lockdown on the Crystal Maiden, who would die anyway. Was a pretty good choice coming out from him. Ancient Apparition reconnects into the game. The game does now auto-pause when you disconnect in private lobbies, so that's kind of nice. But yeah, it's going to be a 3-for-0 exchange after the tower falling in favor of Root. Their heroes are still not looking too terrible as far as net worth is concerned. You now have an Ogre Club on your Viper, as well as Medusa getting a decent amount of gold, but DDX is going to go straight on Tubby the Fat, although not much mana, and the Yule Scepter is going to delay things. Tubby's going to survive and just have to wait for his Tranquil Boots to kick in again, although DDX, now the Regeneration Rune, is itching to go back in here.
Boy JC might be the one to really get the brunt of it. Ice Path is not going to do much, and now they're zipped in from GDX. And suddenly the Crystal Maiden, she's actually a lot tankier than I really would have expected. She does have a buckler, so she's going to survive for a little bit longer, but she will go down in the end. There's not really much you could do. DDX still has a regeneration rune. He's going to want to put a little bit more damage towards Tubby the Fat. However, Lycus is right behind this tower, and he has a Wraithfire Blast, so this could be a little bit dangerous for DDX. He will instead decide to fall on back. Still, Root losing heroes, and when you lose heroes without trades, when you're behind, it's just you getting more and more behind. Dusa is going to be going for a Yasha. It's definitely not going to have an impact that is going to be noticeable for Root. They need to take a nice team fight, but they don't even have like huge team fight heroes. They don't have a Ravage or a Black Hole to work with. If they did, then they could very easily make up this difference, but they're working with very much a single target focus, so they need to take pickoffs, but they are not getting any opportunities to. Like, you can't easily kill off a Storm Spirit. It's hard.
It really is. CDX needs one auto attack from Ink Dota, but Ink needs to be careful. There is a Centaur as well as a Storm in the vicinity. Blink Dagger available for the Centaur. He's had it for a while, although I don't think we've mentioned it. We did see it in play in the last team fight, and they need to respect the distance with the Centaur. And Ink is going to be living on the edge, throwing out a Mystic Snake, burns a little bit of mana off the Pipita, and gets 2 last hits, as well as refueling all of that mana from the Mystic Snake. Me personally, I'm not a huge fan of Mystic Snake on Medusa, but when you're playing in mid, it's a nice tool to push out the waves. Yasha now completed on the Medusa is going to help her a little bit as far as keeping her distance, and in that sense, it's still going to be an impactful item, but it's not really going to do much until you upgrade that to the Manta style, so you can get out the Orchid Silence, as well as just do that much more damage.
They're not pushing as aggressively as Root were pushing in the last game, so they are buying Root a little bit more time to get their items up, potentially make some sort of big comeback down the line, but they're slowly but surely working on Root's defenses. Tier 1 tower mid lane is going to be dropping fairly swiftly as Root don't really have the manpower to defend it. They're going to catch Tubby the Fat trying to rotate in, Orchid onto him. Your boy JC is in the area, but a nice hoof stomp from Pepita is going to almost assure Tubby the Fat's death. There it is. Now they TP out from Pepita, the Sable's there, and Centaur is going to go down. Once again, it's going to be Centaur going down. I feel like he's been the only one from Isurus to actually die. It is yet again a 1-for-1 trade. Bottom lane is going to be pressured a little bit, and DDX wants more. You're going to find Lycus, who's going to throw a stun and then fight to the death. He's going to pop the ultimate. DDX instantly going to teleport out, stun from Lycus. A little bit too slow, gotta make it to heaven. Might get punished though. He's still in the area. He's gonna get hit with the Wraithfire Blast. Where's the support from Root? They don't have any Blink Daggers. They have a long range Nova though. That's gonna secure the kill on the Witch Doctor for sure. Crystal Maiden takes that one very close to her mech, and at the same time Ink, he's in a little bit of trouble from Dulce. However, the Stone Gaze slows him down. It's not going to stop him. Now into the Shadow Dance. Tolera's going to take the pounce from Lycus. They're going to stun Dulce, who's going to get the Dark Pact off. I don't know if it's going to matter. He will go down in the end. Lycus is going to get frozen in place, and now here comes DDX once again. Going to go for Tubby the Fat. He lands a nice path onto Algodonchin, but DDX actually can't 1v3 like this. Tolera just too strong at the moment. DDX used most of his mana to just get into this fight. Now he doesn't have that much mana to get out. He is going to leave as Root decide not to chase this one through, and at the end of the day, it's going to be Medusa going down yet again, but still Root gets something at the very least, and nope, maybe not anymore. Your boy JC is going to drop, not before buying up the mech for the team, but still, now Isurus are going to be doubling up Root's kill score.
Yep, Crystal Maiden is, at this point, food to pretty much anybody that find him. The Slark Center Warner as well as Storm Spirit can all solo the Crystal Maiden with or without Ancient Apparition Ice Blast. Double damage rune spotted by Tubby is going to be sitting on that one for his team. Right now, Root are still in this one, but it's just a matter of time until Isurus find one or two too many pickoffs. Right now, it's their map, and they have the control of it. Despite any pushes coming out from Root, they can't go into these tier 2 towers comfortably unless there's a huge misplay coming out from Isurus. That's going to change once Medusa gets her next 1 or 2 big items, but those are quite a long ways away. We're probably going to be waiting about 15 minutes before this Medusa is a potent threat.
Needs more items, and then she needs Split Shot as well, so that her items could actually do stuff. Stone Gaze is always going to be relevant, but Root don't really have that much physical follow-up. Viper is nice, but definitely not going to be the end-all. So Root, they just need more time to turtle and farm, and getting a kill up on top lane, that's a great way to start. Dulce is going to get the pounce right after he lands, though. Ice Path, the stun seems to be a little bit delayed on landing, and Slark is going to somehow leap out of there. Now going to think about reinitiating as he's shadow dancing back up to near full. Has a Blink Dagger, he's going to jump forward for Tubby the Fat, and this is going to be a very dead Jakiro. However, Ice Path is going to land on Dulce, slowing him down. It's not going to be enough to stop him unless the sickest of jukes. Actually, the Pact is not going to kill him off, and now he's going to pounce forward. He's going to miss once again. Viper's damage might be enough. Throwing it to the air. Where's the Ice Path? No, that's going to save Dulce. No, it's not. Tolera is going to get the kill. Now Make It to Heaven has got to make it out of here. He's going to get stunned up as he tries to TP out. That's a 2 for 0. Somehow the Jakiro survives. He is one of the more tanky heroes on the map, although I don't know if he's going to survive for much longer. He needs to TP out, and he will. DDX is going to burn lots of his mana to get in. He's not going to find anyone except for Lycus. There's a silence and the pull back. He does not have reincarnation. He does have Ink Dota. In backup, though, Lycus is not going to die to the Orchid, but he will die to the Storm, who's now completely out of mana. There's no TP support from Root. It's going to still be a trade that benefits them as they take a 2-for-1 up on top.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that happened there was the Viper putty block on the Shadow Dance Slark. You can't drop any of the disables that Viper has onto the Slark directly, but that combined with the poison attack slow after coming out of the Shadow Dance is enough to save the Jakiro within inches of his life. Down at bottom, they find an Ink Dota and they kill an Ink Dota with the Ancient Apparition Ice Path securing the deal. He didn't have enough mana, and now TP attempt coming out from Pepita. Is it going to succeed? No, it's not. Evil Scepter going to come out, follow up in the Ice Path, and then he can do the Frostbite. Pepita's taking a lot of damage. These two can probably take him out. Although the Stomp comes through, it's only going to delay things a little bit. Ancient Apparition disconnects for the third or fourth time this game, as we will get back into it very shortly.
And we turn.
All right.
Auto
you can,
pause
actually.
off. I don't think you can.
Yeah, that's kind of inconvenient. You should be able to. Yeah, okay, good. It's not just us who doesn't know how it works, but either way, Root, they once again lose their Medusa. That's the 5th death on her, and if Root want a chance to come back, oh, hold on, Tubby the Fat's gonna get annihilated over mid. DDX can make short work of him and then take the tower. He has a sheep stick. Holy crap, DDX. But if Root want to make a comeback, it's gonna be because of this Medusa. It's not gonna be because they're getting picks on the Centaur. So this Medusa needs to get farm, and as long as she's constantly getting picked off, Root really don't have any great ways of coming back. I mean, Viper has an Aghanim Scepter completed. All things considered, this Viper's farm is actually pretty good for this stage in the game, but it's not really going to instantly bring you back, as he is going to be behind the Storm Spirit, and Viper is not going to be able to 1v5. That's just not going to be the case. They're going to look for dual sight up on towards top lane. Lycus is not going to get initiated upon. It's actually your boy JC who gets it. Dulce is going to try to go for this Crystal Maiden, but the Stone Gaze is there. Here comes DDX, as well as the Death Ward, so instantly canceled. DDX in the back line is going to hit with a Viper Strike. He has a little bit more mana. He wants to fight it out with Tolera. I don't know if this is the best decision for him, as he's now out of mana to escape. He will drop Tolera very low. It will be enough to kill him off, in fact, as the negative Urn Charge will do it, but gotta make it to heaven is going to be the trade. Here comes Tubby the Fat, Ice Path onto Algodonchian, as Root Lycus does respawn with his reincarnation, has a Wraithfire Blast saved for the Ancient Apparition. There it goes. Ink Dota is going to collect this kill. That's going to be a 2-for-3. Medusa doesn't end up going down, and they kill off DDX one more time. I don't know if Isurus should have committed that heavily to that fight, because at the end of the day, it's going to be benefiting Root just a little bit.
I would say more than just a little bit. The 3-for-3 trade is actually going to be a 2,000 gold swing and 3,000 experience swing. With the comeback mechanics and with the heroes that died, they were fairly far ahead. Even though on paper it looks even 1 core 2 supports for 1 core 2 supports, it's DDX that fell. And so that's going to be a lot of gold, in particular for Medusa, getting 1,000 gold after that exchange.
Oh, wow. Okay. Didn't realize it was 1,000 gold for Medusa, but holy crap, she actually just collected so much, and assuming she doesn't die right here, that's going to benefit her pretty heavily. Manta Style is in the works. It's not going to be the fastest Manta Style, not by a long shot, but it's a stepping stone for the next big item, and then that's stepping stone for the next big item. And Isurus, they still have a decisive lead right now. Let's take a look at exactly how much. A little bit less than 5,000 in their favor, about 5,000 in experience as well. It's not insurmountable by Root because they have a Medusa on their team. They just have to make sure to get the upper hand on a couple more fights. If they get a Blink Dagger on their Wraith King, then I could see things easily turning Root's way, but unfortunately that item is very, very far away.
And right now we're going to have a proper pause, as Centaur is going to call for it. I have no idea what's wrong. They don't bother telling us, so we're just going to have to wait until the game continues. But yeah, I think at this point in the game, 5,000 is actually not that much. We saw last game, the advantage that Root had was ridiculous. At this point in the game, they were operating with almost 12,000, maybe even more. There was a point where we were about this lead where Isurus looked like they could actually turn it, just because of the style of lineup they had. It's not as bad this game, as Storm Spirit Slark can scale pretty well into the later portions of the game. But then again, we're still looking at a hero that once 6-slotted is going to be the scariest hero on the map for the rest of the game, and that hero is the Medusa. Mantis style completed is going to be less worried about the Storm Spirit. Orchid, speaking of the Storm Spirit, goes in the backline. It's going to be Yule Sceptered up into the Ice Path. Fall Wraithfire Blast. He's inside the Macro Power Frostbite. They're not going to throw the Wraithfire Blast. They should have thrown it out from Lycus. There was no other way to lock him down as he can just zip out of the Frostbite. Ooh, just a little bit misplay coming out from Lycus. That could have been a kill onto DDX again, which would have been huge.
Would have been really close if the kill would have actually happened, but I mean, there's no reason to not go for it. So
yeah,
Root missing a little bit of an opportunity there, so it's going to be DDX escaping, unfortunately, for Root. They're going to go pretty aggressively down towards mid. At the same time, bottom lane, Ink Dota trying to fight up against Dulce, and that's a tough matchup for Medusa. She has Stone Gaze to keep herself safe, but if Slark fully commits, then I think Medusa's going to go down. The tower's actually below deny range. Dulce really wants this one as well. He needs a couple more hits, but now the fortification is there, and Dulce is now going to find himself in a fist fight with Medusa. Here comes the Ice Blast, which will land squarely onto the Medusa. Ice Path not going to land. They will secure the deny on the tower, and they will now chase after Dulce, but he's back up to almost full, and he's just going to straight TP away. A denial tower, though, for Root is pretty much the best that they come out from that, and Tolera over on the mid lane is going to now be initiated upon instantly into the TP. No Hoof Stomp was already used. He's going to survive as well. So Root, they deny the tower and they don't lose anyone. I guess that, yeah, you kind of have to count that as a win for them, I guess, considering how much aggression Isurus potentially can put out. The fact that Root didn't actually lose anything is actually pretty huge.
Yeah, I think this one's a lot more of a slight win than the one up top, but still, it's going to be pretty comfortable for them. Isurus are still commanding as far as their control of the map, but if Root are able to keep this up for another 10 minutes, their Medusa is going to have another item. And once Medusa has, like, a Scotty or something on top of that, Isurus are going to have a bit more difficulty taking him down. DDX is going to be tagged by an Ice Path, but Jakiro just needs a Force Staff out of there. WFAT cannot pick a fight with that Storm Spirit. Even with backup, it's still really hard. DDX is probably going to consider going for a BKB as his next item, as the Yule Scepter into Ice Path, Wraithfire Blast is still a decent amount of lockdown for the Storm Spirit that is instant if they do combo everything correctly, but instead going to pick up a Soul Booster, going for the Bloodstone as his next choice, feeling that he doesn't actually need anything as he goes for an incredibly long zip. Where is he going? He's going for my boy JC, or your boy JC rather, but he's frostbitten under tower. Ice Path misses. Wraithfire Blast also going to miss, but DDX doesn't have a lot of mana and might still be in a bit of trouble. Centaur Ultimate will bail him out, but not for long. DDX is going to dive for the Crystal Maiden. Crystal Maiden is going to be so happy with that exchange. What was that zip from DDX? That was very ballsy.
Yeah, that was pretty much from his secret shop all the way to the enemy tier 2 tower. If you were going to get a kill on Medusa, then probably worth it, but CM definitely not. So Dulce is now on the run on bottom lane. He's going to get thrown up into the air. He's going to pack out of it, however. Now Tubby the Fat's going to get hit with an Ice Blast, but Dulce is also going to drop. That's yet again another favorable trade for Isurus, assuming their Jakiro doesn't go down, and even if he does, that's a trade that I'll be more than willing to make. Ancient Apparition will get lethal on that Ice Blast, but still, for a Slark, Root should be so happy about making these trades right now. As Isurus, they're feeling a little bit too comfortable about their lead. Like, Storm Spirit is damn tanky. He is absolutely stacked. He's on top of the net worth chart, but you can't really afford to burn all your mana diving that deep into an enemy tier 2. It's just suicidal.
Look at Viper's item. He has a Basher.
I guess if you are gonna be going up against a Storm Spirit, then your Viper Strike isn't likely to land, and your Bashes are?
I don't know. Abyssal Blade, I like it on ranged heroes a lot more than I think it's seen. It's very rare that we see it, and usually it's like a last item for a TA that needs to man fight or something along that lines. But Centaur Ultimate, they're going to find themselves, your boy JC is dead, but Pepita, tagged with the Viper Strike, is going to be slowed, but with the Voodoo Restoration, he's going to be more than happy. It's still a Crystal Maiden traded away for the Roshan, Aegis now on the Medusa. I think it's fine, but he really needs that Abyssal before it's actually going to be worthwhile. I'm liking the Vipers going for damage rather than for more utility. It would be really nice if they had somebody other than the Medusa to pick up the slack, and Viper's already pretty darn tanky with his current build. But until he has the Super Basher, it's not going to do much.
I think right now the Basher is pretty much going to pale in comparison to a Yasha Manta style build-up for Viper, which is a lot more common if you want to go for damage. Ink Dota is in quite a bit of trouble. I think this is going to be the end of the Aegis. That was kind of short-lived. He will get the Stone Gaze out, but he's going to get stunned by the cast. Nothing else, however. Here comes Tolera landing a Viper Strike onto Dulce, doing quite a bit of damage to this Slark, but she's going to find an angle to pounce away to safety. And Root, well, they're not going to lose their Medusa. They're not going to lose the Aegis either. It's again a narrow victory for them. Pepita's still in the area. Tolera is going to find him out. Just needs one right click in order to cancel that blink. Dulce, also kind of sleeping at the wheel, is going to be forced to pounce away and then book it. Pepita off to the back end still is there, although I don't know if Root know about it. They soon will. Pepita does have a blink and a Force Staff though, so actually killing off the Centaur is going to be really hard. And he's not even going to be aggressed upon. So nothing can happen up on top. DDX over towards mid. He's going to land the Orchid on Tubby the Fat. Instantly he gets frostbitten up. The Snake is going to be thrown, and Storm Spirit suddenly is very low on mana. He's got to back off, wait for a little bit more regen. Your boy JC probably shouldn't be chasing the Storm Spirit. Seems like a bad idea to me, as DDX is going to be setting up trap to trap, and now your boy JC running straight into the Storm. The Ice Path is going to bail him out for a little bit, but I don't think it's really going to be enough. Your boy JC really just needs to channel the ultimate and hope for the best right now, as he is going to go down in the end, and now DDX is going to burn the rest of his mana to TP out of there at the exact same time. Viper up on top lane was ambushed, where they're still going for Lycus, who's going to use his reincarnation, but now he doesn't really have anywhere to go. Pepita's going to get the hoof stomp there, as DDX did go down. How
Ice
did he
Path
go
from
down?
Tubby, like max range Ice Path, clips him to cancel the TP, and Storm Spirit gets dropped. That's your $1 million Ice Path there. Like, that's something.
It's certainly very nice for Root, but this is a 1-for-3 trade, and it's probably still not worth it.
No, it's probably not. If they didn't get the Storm Spirit, however, it would have been disastrous. Slark now with the Scotty. Isurus are going to have their first big item on Dulce. Losing the Viper there is probably the biggest issue for them. If it was just the Wraith King and the Crystal Maiden for a Storm, I'd say that's completely worth it. But Viper is currently their top net worth hero.
Viper is pretty much doing all of the lifting for Root right now. Like, he is making sure that he's doing all the damage. I mean, the Jakiro is providing a little bit of utility, but he's going to get jumped right now, throwing himself into the air with the Yules. He is going to get hit with the Ice Blast. No, it's actually going to be dodged narrowly, though. Here comes your boy JC with the Freezing Field available, though he's not going to use it just yet. Ice Path is going to go wide, and they use Stone Gaze for this one as well. I think that was a little bit too aggressively used, and they have to worry about now Pepita jumping in. Tubby the Fat in quite a bit of trouble. He has a Ghost Scepter, but that's not really going to help him, as Pepita now going to stampede his way out. Force Staff a million miles away. Can he be interrupted this time? It's not going to be an Ice Path, and he will make it out to safety. Hero going to be dropped once again for Root, and they just need to buy more time. I don't know if they can, though. It seems like these fights are getting progressively worse for Root, and here comes DDX, this time with your boy JC. He's not going to have any chance to survive now, as Tolera gets pulled right back in. How's that Basher working for you, Viper? Because it doesn't look like it's doing much.
Yep, and it's not going to save him there. That's going to be 3 kills going the way of Isurus, and not much getting returned for Root. They still have the Aegis on Medusa. Didn't actually lose it in the last fight, but an Aegis on your Medusa at this point doesn't give you much. The second life on Medusa, if she dies once, she's probably dying a second time. It'll allow her to farm a little bit more aggressively, but not enough. Dulce throws out the Mystic Snake, which will refund a little bit of the mana, but now jumped upon by DDX as well as everybody else. That will be your Aegis down. Aghanim Scepter completed by your Witch Doctor as well, and now the Medusa going to die for a second time, presumably. Yeah, couldn't even turn on the mana shield with stun lock, and that's going to be the Medusa down. She does have buyback, but what is a Medusa buyback going to do at this point? I think Isurus has cracked the high ground. They're going to eat an Ice Path, but maybe not even that, as Tubby's jumped upon by DDX. It does land, and the Frostbite is going to be annoying for DDX to deal with. Ice Path is, or HF versus Ice Path going to land on both of them. Now the double hoof sound set up by that Witch Doctor cast, and that's going to be a double kill for DDX, filling up Bloodstone with now 14 charges, and he can zip very aggressively wherever he wants.
DDX just has way too much mana regeneration right now. 14 charges is insane. Just by itself, when you add an Orchid and a Sheep Stick on top of that, and hell, he could ship the bottle and be very happy about that. He's gonna, of course, just constantly drink from it, but they don't exactly crack the high ground just yet. I actually think Isurus probably could have pressured that a little bit more, but they're going to respect the power of the Viper, and they will back off for now, knowing that they're still in a prime position to win the game. If you take a look at the net worth, DDX is very firmly on top. Like 20k net worth this stage of the game is outrageous, above everyone else by quite a large margin. So the Storm Spirit is absolutely freaking terrifying. And as long as Isurus don't make any huge errors in this game, I mean, they have the item advantage, they have the hero advantage right now. I would say with the 3 cores having what they have, they even have a super late game advantage, since Medusa isn't really getting anything. So it's going to be a very difficult game for Isurus to lose.
Take a look at the gold graph. That's ridiculous. It went from a 5,000 advantage in the last 8 minutes or so. That was 10,000 advantage accrued by Isurus just after 2 fights that Root lost pretty outright, especially that last one where they effectively get wiped and lose their Medusa, most importantly. There's just not a great way for Root to get back into this game. The Storm Spirit can zip very liberally wherever he wants. He can use that to just mobilize around the map with 53 mana regeneration a second, as well as constantly getting the bottle refills. It's crazy. It's going to be a Shiva's Guard completed for Pepita as well, or a Shiva's Guard for DDX, Assault Caress for Pepita. And speaking of, the Centaur dropping very low. Storm Spirit is very deep onto Ink Dota. Ink is pretty much dead. Ancient Apparition Ice Blast, I'm not even sure if that matters. He's looking for a little bit more damage. The mana is still there for Ink, and he's actually going to survive longer than I thought he would. The Ancient Apparition Ice Blast, should it have landed, probably would have secured that kill since it is level 2 with Ags.
Go for like is over in the mid lane. Cold Feet is guaranteed to proc, and the 2 supports are going to kill off the 1 support's reincarnation. So that's a little bit of a win, I suppose. Here comes the rest of Root. However, the rest of Isurus are right behind their buddies, and they will just stampede away. And Root cannot get anything off of this one. DDX, where was he? Doesn't even matter where he is, since he could be anywhere in the blink of an eye. He is wielding an Invis Rune. He's going to run straight into Ink. Now that's a tasty target for a Storm Spirit. And there's a blink in from Pepita. Ice Blast is going to fly through, as well as the Death Ward. Ink is going to take so much freaking damage. Out of mana, out of hope. He's going to go down. DDX going to run to the rest of Root. He's going to jump downwards towards Tubby the Fat. And he's going to go to town onto absolutely everyone. Got to make it to heaven. Still alive with level 4 healing. And he's going to will eventually drop, but it's going to be a double kill for DDX at the very least. Gonna go for Lycus. This should be a triple kill. However, your boy JC might stop it. No, triple kill for DDX. I don't think he's going to get 4, although he's going to try to go for it on the Crystal Maiden. Dodges the Viper Strike. That's going to be denied to him from Pepita, but now Tolera is on his deathbed. He's going to go down as well. That's a whole 5-man wipe, and now Root are going to lose Raxes, probably 2-7.
67.3 mana regeneration per second on DDX. I'm actually very interested to see how long he could zip with a full mana pool. We are going to see GG called out by Root. No big surprises there, as we're going to get back in the game after the auto pause. Actually, we're stuck on 2 seconds. 3, 2, 1. 2, 2, 2, 3, 2.
The hell is going on? Let's just leave. Everyone's leaving. Let's get out of here.
Okay, there we go. Oh, it's because they keep on disconnecting and it auto pauses.
Man, if that pause thing went to 4, that would be freaking hilarious.
Yeah, it would. There's the Ancient exploding, and that's going to be the end of game number 2. The series is tied 1-1. As far as the server for game number 3, I'm not sure what it's going to be. I think both teams have fairly like ping to Peru servers, so we might be looking at Peru for game number 3, although there could also be a coin flip. We'll keep you posted, but either way, this has been Join Dota League here on HeflaTV. If you like the casting, follow us on Facebook, Twitter at HeflaTV, as well as here on the Twitch channels. That said, into game 3, we're going to go very quickly, so see you soon.
Game client's out of date, maybe not that quickly.
Oh dear, especially with Brazil internet. Okay, so maybe not so soon. We'll have game number 3.